have a question for you. Larry said you.
Under all is the land. Upon its wise utilization and widely allocated ownership depends the survival and growth of free institutions and our civilization. Wow. These powerful words are the very first sentence of the Code of Ethics and Standards of Practice, which was originally formed by National Association of Realtors back in 1913. This industry is attempting to and does regulate its professionals. The very first rule back then was the real estate agent should absolutely be honest, truthful, faithful, and efficient. He should bear in mind he is an employee, that his client is his employer, and is entitled to the best service the real estate agent can give his information, talent, time, service, loyalty, confidence, and fidelity. Welcome back to Broker Talk, a half hour of real estate trends, techniques, insight, and information. I'm Larry Lawfer, your host each week, and often joined by Jim Lowenstern, the CEO of Casas Unlimited, powered by EXP. Our expert guest this week, Andrew Sarno, is the former president of the Greater Boston Association of Realtors, chair of the Professional Standards Committee, part of the MAR and G-Bar Board of Directors, and someone I consider a colleague and mentor to so many agents. We're talking about the Code of Ethics today and professional standards. Of course, that means Andrew Sarno has to be in the house. Welcome back, Andy. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Larry and Jim. Always a pleasure to be on your show, and thank you for that fine introduction.
This code of ethics. The reason why we're talking about this right now is because you have to have every single real estate agent has to go through. Every single realtor has to go through the code of ethics and be reassigned that every 2 years, is it, Andy?
We are triennial now. So the current code of ethics cycle, this is important for our realtor listeners, ran from January 1st, 2019 to the end of this year, 3 years. So if you have not completed since January 1st, 2019, your code of ethics training, you must complete it before the end of this month.
So get it done.
Get it done. There's one more class on December 20th. You can sign up at gbar.org, log in with your membership information. There's still room in the class, and I will be teaching it.
And that's great if our listeners are here in Massachusetts. If you're in another state, like I know many of you are, you would be able to go to your realtor organization and find out. I'm sure most of them have one last class before it's all over.
Absolutely.
So let's get to, we are the first major organization that actually did regulate its people. And yet there are still bad agents, out there. Let's talk about some of the things that you shouldn't do. Should I mention dual agency? Or how can we talk about dual agency? First, Andy, explain what dual agency is.
Well, so dual agency, and I would never say we should not practice it. Dual agency is a model in the law, in Massachusetts agency law, and it occurs when a real estate agent has a seller client, one to whom he or she has pledged their fiduciary duty as the seller's agent, but also has a buyer client, a buyer that he or she also owes fiduciary obligation to. And somehow these two have come together in a transaction, and a wall essentially has to go up whereby the agent, now in dual agency, cannot favor the interest of one party over the other. I can give you a longer explanation. I don't think we have the time.
Let me change the words. You cannot consult with either one. You provide information.
I would say you can. You're pretty close, Larry. As an agent, as a fiduciary of a buyer or seller, You advocate, these are important keywords. You advocate, you advise, you negotiate. Those are your three big fiduciary duties. Once you go into dual agency, you cannot provide those services. You become essentially, another keyword for you, a transactional agent. You navigate them through the process, but you can't advocate for one side or the other. It's a dangerous game. It can be done, but you have to stay right down the middle, or you could open yourself up to a Mass General Law Chapter 93A consumer protection suit.
Here are some of the ways I think this happens, Andy, and help me try and understand it, because we're seeing this in our MLS week after week. So someone has a new listing, comes on the market, and one of the things they say in there is no showings until the first open house. And that could be 2 days away, that could be a week away. Now,
Sure.
are they curtailing the market by doing so? And is that okay to do or not do?
So theoretically, I understand objections to that practice. Remember, as sellers agents, as listing agents, we are not decision makers. Again, advocate, advise, negotiate. We advise our clients on certain market protocols that might benefit them, and the seller gives us their instructions. The agent should never be unilaterally deciding who gets in the house when. Very often, one market strategy I now neither am for or against is list the property on a Tuesday or Wednesday, no showings till the weekend open houses. There's no problem with that as long as the seller understands that is the strategic plan for marketing.
Right.
So the other issue, and we can have issues with the Code of Ethics in Article 3 cooperation. We can also have issues with MLS, is if that period between listing and showing, the listing agent is bringing in their own buyers. Exactly. And no one else, they essentially have the exclusive until the open house. Now we may have a problem. It's not definitive. Again, it depends on the marching orders that the seller's agent, that the seller approved for the agent. I hope that makes sense.
Well, that does. And the way it mostly happens is not just the seller's agent, but they're allowing their agency in. So if they're,
right.
Yeah, they're one brand of agency that the other folks from that agency can come in, but nobody else can. That's
right. And again, if this is done with the seller's assent, sure, Andy, we really like you. You can, give an exclusive to your company for a week. I would argue that is not in the seller's interest. And maybe the listing agent is not being a good fiduciary. But again, if the seller has authorized that practice, not a lot you can do about it.
So, Andrew, I have a question. So, most properties are listed in MLS, and that's what we're talking about.
I would say that's correct. And we're fortunate to have an excellent MLS here in Eastern Massachusetts.
Okay. So now there's basically another MLS of sorts, top agent network. You're probably familiar with TAN, yes?
Yeah, you're talking. I'm familiar with the Facebook page where they kind of list off market properties that aren't on MLS, right?
Well, I don't know about the Facebook page, but there's definitely a system. I paid into it to promote off-market properties and see properties being publicized internally to a small group of brokers before they come to market. And one of the questions is, are you willing to show it before it goes into MLS? So are there any potential problems on the horizon for a group such as TAN with regard to maybe a seller says, oh, I didn't realize that not all the brokers were getting to know about this property when it went under agreement, and is that a potential lawsuit?
It absolutely. Again, I am not attorney. I won't provide legal guidance or advice. But yes, we have a couple of issues there. If the seller is not aware that their property is not being fully marketed, for lack of a better term, yes, we have a problem. You now have an agent or a brokerage unilaterally deciding to give an exclusive to a closed group of agents rather than the entire market. I would, if I were the seller, and I became aware of this without my approval, I would contact my attorney.
Okay, so 10 agents, make sure your seller is aware. And I guess in some cases, that's something that they look at as a benefit. They say, well,
Again, we all have different business practices. And what I try to expound to all my realtor and agent friends is just because someone does business in a manner different than you do doesn't make it wrong or make it bad. Also doesn't necessarily make it good. As long as the seller understands they're being exposed to a limited market and the property and MLS has been properly notified. If you're doing same rule goes with coming soon and some of these limited market outreaches, as long as you have the proper forms filled out with MLS signed by the seller, you can do it that way. Not sure why you want to. Why do we need private clubs in our profession when we're all part of the realtor family? But again, different business practice.
I think one of the other concerns I have gotten asked in recently is the whole practice of, okay, so you have the open house, and in the MLS, it tells the person no offer will be looked at until some time in the future. When
offer deadlines.
Yeah,
Yep.
and when our rule is timely, time is of the essence. So you've got to give that offer as soon as you possibly can. So,
Correct.
where do we stand on that with something like
All right.
that?
What, Larry, you're hitting all these great issues today. Thank you. This is a great show. So, offer deadlines. Once again, this is not your decision as the broker or agent. You explain this, and it's a strategy. Let's call it what it is. This is something you advise your seller on. Here, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is why this is a good idea or isn't a good idea. Do I have your permission to put this on MLS or to call for offers on such and such a date? You do not make that unilaterally. Now, Larry, getting to the law, and I'll give our agents some advice here. Offers are to be presented forthwith. That is the way the law is written. What does forthwith mean? As soon as practically possible. Do you have to call your client at 2 a.m.? No. Should it be in his inbox by 9 a.m.? Absolutely. As soon as practically possible. Now, agents who are doing offer deadlines, I would strongly recommend, here's the best practice, memorialize that instruction from your seller in some way, shape, or form. Either the listing agreement, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we agreed for me to put the property on the market on Wednesday, call for offers by noon on Monday, just making sure you're okay with this plan. Memorialize it, because I think, again, Larry, you've hit on something important. Agents are making decisions unilaterally without the approval and assent of their clients.
Right.
Unacceptable, violation of Article 1 of the Code of Ethics.
Right. Right. Another one is, and I'm seeing this right now. I'm representing more buyers than I am listings, so I'm in a lot of different houses, and I'm hearing agents talk to the listing agent, and I have heard a listing agent say to a buyer who comes in, "Are you represented?" We all do that. We want to know, are you represented? You're not represented. If they're not,
well, you have, and a quick tangent. Article 3 of the Code of Ethics, cooperation, we're required not to, and Article 16, not to interfere in the business relationships other agents have with their clients. So it's not only a good question to ask, in some way, shape, or form, you must ask it to make sure that you are not interfering.
So let's come back after this break, and we'll get some more answers for you.
When you are searching for a new home, you want to be working with a realtor with years of experience, a professional with intimate knowledge of the communities that you are considering moving to, and someone who really wants to represent you as a buyer in what is probably the largest investment you will ever make in your lifetime. The realtors at Castles Unlimited want to be your choice when you are ready to make your next move. Please visit us at castlesunlimited.com or call us anytime at 800-967-3561. The realtors at Castles Unlimited are here to help your next purchase, lease, or sale of any real estate the easiest decision you've ever made. Start your search anytime, 24/7 at castlesunlimited.com.
What's the top one?
Hey, folks, we're back. Thank you so much. We're talking to Andrew Sarno, who teaches ethics and professional standards for many, many years. We've been grilling him on correct practices by things that we see existing out there every single day. I'm going to throw him another curveball here. Everybody, this is a time of the year where everyone who's doing any kind of production is getting calls from other agencies, and you may or you may not move. There is one code out there that almost no one is following, and that is your identification and your identification of your office and your office phone. Most everyone out there is saying, hey, I'm Larry from my own place, and come talk to me. And they don't include their agency or the agency's phone number. Could you talk for a moment about that, Andy?
Gladly, Larry. And that's a big pet peeve. I won't say almost no one is doing, but we have a lot of offenders. And this speaks, by the way, as a violation not only of Article 12 of the Code of Ethics, to be honest and clear in all communications with the public and with other brokers, it's also Massachusetts law. So given our limited time, I'm going to make this eminently clear to our listeners today. Email, phone call. Larry, something happened on the screen. Are we good here? All right.
Yeah, no, we're good. Here we're coming back. I was trying.
No, that's fine. I'll just keep talking. Your email must identify your full name, your firm name, the town in which you work with, and your status as a realtor or licensee. And when I say the town you work with, the town of at least one of your offices. If you have multiple offices, name one of them.
What are we talking about? We're talking about recruitment solicitations?
Any real estate business whatsoever. And Jim, I want to expand on that. This also goes for text messages. Hey, Andy, I just saw your new listing on 123 Main Street. Can I get more information? I don't know if you're an agent or a consumer. That is unacceptable. Name, status as a licensee, and company name. This is mass law too, folks, and you can get in a lot of trouble for not in proper time, in timely fashion, disclosing to the public that you are a licensee. Here's another one for you folks, and I hit them over the head with this in my classes all the time. If you use your personal phone for business, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts says that is a business phone and must answer as such. Hello, this is Andy Sarno from Remax Andrew Realty Services. Not, hi, this is Bob, leave a message. Unacceptable and a violation of the law and Article 12. We're seeing it. So, Larry, I know you're going to go here, so I'm going to hit it. Teams, you real estate teams, terrific business model, no objection to teams, but you must understand your team. A real estate team is not recognized under Massachusetts agency law. You are all agents of the brokerages you are affiliated with. You do not fly alone. And I'm seeing an awful lot of social media pages with the Bob and Sally team with no reference to the parent brokerage whatsoever. Violation of the law, violation of Article 12. The former director of the Mass Division of Professional Licensure for Real Estate, Larry and Jimmy, you'll remember him, Joe Attilio, Terrific guy. And Bill Mullen, the attorney for the board, and I once asked him, why is this so important, Joe? And he said, so the consumer knows who to sue. And he was serious as hard.
Yeah. I was going to get to that, Andy, because most of these code of ethics have to do with protecting the consumer. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you protect the consumer. So you need the office and the office phone, because I don't want to call you. I'm already in conflict with you. I want to talk to your boss. It's the old rule Karen part. Let me talk to the manager.
Right.
Well,
exactly.
well, I have a new one, Andy, that I heard maybe a few times in the last couple of weeks, because we're moving over to the EXP platform. And also, Larry, when you say powered by, no. And this is in case in point to what Andy says, brokered by. Powered by doesn't protect me. I'm moving to EXP for compliance, logistics, insurance, everything.
Jim, good for you. I'm sorry for the interruption. Powered by, well, I get it from a marketing approach. It could be perceived as misleading. Brokered by, I like that. You're on the right track.
Right. So I got a call from one of my brokers yesterday. He hasn't been opening up his emails. They weren't bouncing to his phone or whatever. He's getting a solicitation from Warren Buffett's crew there. And they're telling him about how weird stuff is going on at Castles Unlimited. You're not going to have an office anymore because, it's a cloud-based company, blah, 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 blah. Of course, he's sitting in a room with a mask, and she's got a mask, and she's telling him how important offices are right now during a pandemic, and he's looking at her like she's nuts. But what about solicitations where they're going to start talking not the truth about my company and to my agents? How unethical is that?
Well, and again, it's the first I've heard of this, so I don't have all the facts and information and timeline in front of me.
All new to me.
But if any agent or brokerage does attempt to, diminish or disparage another real estate brokerage, my advice is call our general counsel, have a conversation, open up a dialogue. We all know Bill Mullen, attorney William G. Mullen III, in-house counsel and director of risk management for the Greater Boston Association of Realtors. Jim, explain your concerns and open up a dialogue and see if, in fact, something wrong is happening, that we can stop the behavior immediately. But again, it's the first I've heard of this, so I'm not going to pass judgment.
Yeah,
Andy, what are the you've been doing this for a great deal of time. I'm on professional standards and practice. We hear a lot of the same complaints. I was chairman of the grievance committee. You were on there with me. We heard a lot of the similar kinds of things. What are your top 3? Please don't do this again kind of things from the code?
The violations of the code that we see, pretty much the ones we see more than the others tend to be Article 1, the fiduciary client, agents not fulfilling their fiduciary duties to their clients. Article 3 is a big one, cooperating with other real estate professionals to advance your client's best interests. We talked about that, freezing out your clients and that sort of thing. Article 16, the interference article. Realtors shall respect the exclusive relationship that their brokerages have, with certain clients. Those, and the other ones are the truth in advertising. Article 2 and Article 12, we just talked about Article 12, about being clear about who you are, whom you represent, et cetera, and all your advertising and outreach with the consumer. And Article 2, that's a big one. Truth in advertising and disclosure with regard to the properties that you are representing. Sometimes we have some agents out there taking a few too many liberties with Photoshop. We're doing some virtual staging without disclosing that we have done that, changing colors, editing out fire hydrants and high tension wires. These are all no-nos. So those are probably the big 5 articles that we seem to see over and over again.
So just let me repeat that. So when you have an exterior picture or an interior picture, you cannot alter that landscape to make it better.
Well, I don't want to take too broad a sweep. There are certain enhancements you can do without getting in trouble. The litmus test is when you're done with your photoshopping. Sorry to coin a specific brand, but there's lots of ways to do it. When I'm done, is that photo still an accurate depiction of that property? That's really the crux of where you want to be. So if you did a little color enhancement, on the outside of the house, but it's still pretty much accurate, that's fine. If you start photoshopping out crabgrass with beautiful Kentucky blue, the answer is no. And I just called an agent on photoshopping out a fire hydrant, a big red fire hydrant was right in front of the house. I knew this place. I said, "Where's the fire hydrant?" And said, "Well, I did that." My favorite remark or defense is, "Well, I did that for marketing purposes." That is no.
That is not puffery.
That not puffery at all. And we see it all the time with gross living area. Rounding up. Dear Lord, people, please don't do that.
Well, or including basement, which is not livable space, to make it.
Without disclosing that fact. I mean, we all know appraisers have a certain way of looking at gross living area, but at the same time, as long as you disclose, as long as you're being reasonable and you disclose finished area below grade, you're okay, but you must disclose it.
When I recently took this course in re-opt, you were my teacher, and at the end of it, after I think it was 2.5 hours, wasn't it something like that?
Yes, Code of Ethics training is 150 minutes, correct.
So it boiled down, a whole bunch of people on the call, and it boiled down to, well, what is this really? And you said, do the right thing.
Well, the golden rule is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. While that is not part of our code, it's an aspirational ideal that will always guide you in the right direction. If you were the consumer buying this house, would these pictures make you feel that you got an accurate depiction of the property?
Yeah.
Just spin it around, just like your mom and dad taught you growing up. How would the other party feel?
I wanted to give our audience a couple, aside from all the nuggets that we've shared already, the nugget that we were talking about right before we started the show. And as a buyer's agent, right now we have low inventory across the country. Buyer's agents are going in, and they are not doing the single most important thing that they should be doing. Do you want to tell them what they should be doing, Andy? That we talked about?
The single most important thing, I would say there's a lot of things, Larry. I would say asking the right questions.
Exactly.
Remember, it's not, and I think that's where you were going, Larry.
That's exactly where I was going.
And I'm a certified buyer representative as well. And while money talks, we all know that, and it's the first aspect of the offer a seller looks at, it's not always the only thing that's very important to them. Ask listing agents, what is important to your seller other than price? And then something we realtors have a hard time doing, stop talking and listen. Listen to the answer.
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed at what they'll tell you all about their seller's situation within the confines of agency. And you'll be, gee, would this help? Would that help? Do you think this might give them some amount of comfort? And then lo and behold,
Yeah. And if you can do that without other agents hearing those answers, that's even better.
But we just gave all those agents the answers, Larry.
Yeah, you know, agents don't listen.
Right. Yeah. No, Larry, I think that was an excellent point. Listen, buyer agents, as tough as it is for all of you right now, I know I am one. I just want to bid on a property in my market area where there were 12 other offers. I mean, build your skills, take some continuing ed classes, take a negotiation class. You got to hone your skills, because the cream will rise and everyone else will not.
Jim, you asked me a question earlier today about foreign-born non-U.S. citizen getting their license, their real estate license. Would you shape that question for Andy?
If Andy knows it, we have someone that has a social security number. They do not have a green card. They have a work visa, and they want to get a license in Massachusetts.
Jim, I'll tell you, I try to stay in my wheelhouse, stay in my lane. That is a division of professional licensure question. So
So good luck.
I'm not competent. I'm not competent to respond to that question.
And who the heck can get in touch with anyone in the DPL right now?
It can indeed be challenging. However, again, at the Greater Boston Association of Realtors, we have your back. Maybe give Bill a call and he can give you some insights. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to avoid the question. I can speculate, but it wouldn't be helpful.
Yeah.
We're going to guess yes, but we're still trying to find out definitively.
It's always good to find out. And curiosity is another key component of successful agents. Be curious. Ask the next question. Ask the question after that. Don't go in there with the attitude that you know exactly what they're thinking, because probably you don't until you ask them. So, Andy, it's always a pleasure to have you here on the show.
Thank you, Larry. I enjoyed it. I really did.
It goes by way too quickly. But
we'll
have you back again, I'm sure.
Terrific.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Jim. And remember, to all your listeners, the code of ethics is our promise of professionalism. Happy holidays.
Well said.
Same to you. Tune in
Happy
next
holidays,
week.
Andy.
Tune in next week for another great show, and we will see you then. Whoop. There we go. Pause. Stop.
Recording stop.